Hey guys, it's Victor Costa. How you doing? I've got a riddle for you. What has more calcium per calorie than milk and more iron per calorie than beef? Has vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, has tons of fiber, and is a powerful antioxidant, and has 2 grams of protein per serving and 0 fat. It's kale. Now, kale's a green leafy vegetable, and a lot of us don't eat enough green leafy vegetables. We also don't eat enough fiber, and we find it kind of challenging to always make a soup or saute a green leafy vegetable. So I'm going to show you today how to make something really simple. It's kale chips, and it's something that'll keep. It's something that you could take to school or work with you. It's something that you can have laying around all the time. It's really simple, and it's really cheap. In fact, kale chips, if you see them in the store, they're relatively expensive. In fact, you could pay a guy $9 for a little container, or you can buy kale for about $2 a bunch and make these yourself. So what we're going to need is kale. I have 2 varieties here. I have green boar kale, which is curly kale, and I also have lacinato kale, which is also referred to as dino kale. Now, some people think that maybe the curly kale is a little bit sweeter, but there's 2 different textures here and 2 different tastes, but both are essentially the same nutritional value. Both are kale, and it might just be a matter of preference and how you like to visually display your food as well. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to wash the kale. Now, by the way, these are both organic, but you do have to wash the kale, and then you have to pat it dry, because we are going to have some olive oil in this recipe, and we want to make sure that the olive oil takes to the kale really nicely. So after you rinse off your kale, you have to dry it. Pat it dry or put it in a strainer and leave it there for a bit, but make sure it's dry before you begin. Then take a scissor or a knife. I prefer a scissor. In fact, you should have a kitchen scissor. You can have a fine one like this for veggies, but you might also want to have a stronger one when you want to cut chicken. As you probably know, when you're cutting chicken, sometimes it's very slippery, right? This is also a safer way to approach cutting up your veggies. So we're going to cut the kale off of the vein. There's a big vein that's running through here, right? And we're going to simply cut the kale away from the vein. And it's real simple like this. And once we do that, then we're going to break the kale into what we would consider to be bite-sized pieces. That's it, just like that. And then after we do that, we're going to get a little olive oil. Now, this is what I like to do. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. Some recipes call for a tablespoon. I was able to get away with a teaspoon because I don't like that much oil right on my food. So I'm going to pour the olive oil. Here's a teaspoon. A little bit more than that. Now that we have our pieces of kale, we're going to need parchment paper. Now, this parchment paper comes from a forest that was responsibly managed. It's FSC certified, it's chlorine-free, and it's unbleached. And this is the kind of product that you want. So we're going to take a piece of the parchment paper and we're going to lay it down. And then we're going to start putting some olive oil on our kale. Now, some of the recipes suggest that you should actually drizzle the olive oil over the kale, but I find that that makes kind of a big mess. It gets your parchment paper really wet. And instead, we're going to take 1 piece of kale and we're going to dip it into the olive oil, and that is going to be essentially our paintbrush for the other kale. And we're just going to place it on the parchment paper like this. So we're going to do that. We're going to lay them out, put a little bit of space between them, and then we're going to lay our parchment paper on a cookie sheet, just like this. And now, after this, we're going to heat the oven. We're going to put the oven on 350. We're going to preheat the oven. We're going to sprinkle a little sea salt over our kale. And we're going to put this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending. Now, you want to make sure that the kale gets a little crispy and should be brown on the outside but not burned. So it should take about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's put this in the oven and we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like and tastes like. So it's been about 15 minutes and my kale chips are done. I've been checking on them and I wanted to make sure that they were nice and crispy on the outside, a little bit brown on the outside, and also that the olive oil has actually dried up. They were still a little moist after about 12 minutes and I kept them in for about 15. So depending upon your oven, I have my oven set at 350 degrees. You want to do this for about 10 to 15 minutes and I'm ready to pull mine out now. So, this is obviously hot. I'm going to take some of my kale chips. I'm going to put them on a serving plate. They come off really easy because they're dried. Let me show you my creation. So here we are. Let's give them a try. That's kale, all right. Very earthy, delicious. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, fiber, calcium, iron. Give them a try. It's a really easy recipe. So wish you guys all the best. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, and muscles. Visit me at Vic's Natural. Say hello on Facebook, and please take care and good health. Bye.